Hi, you're watching Current Issues. My name is Vineet Malhotra. The election of former SL Group Chairman Subhash Chandra to the Rajya Sabha is under a lot of suspicion and cloud. The way a victory was coerced has invited the ire of not only the aggrieved parties but also of those who believe that once a person gets used to twisting and breaking the system, he gets confident at it and does so without regret or remorse. A dossier of FIRs, a long list of accusations and irregularities makes this particular person of unintentional interest, and that's what we debate about today with our guests. But before we start the debate, let's look at this.
मैं उनके साथ में गया था, वहाँ हमने वहाँ सबमिशन की थी, हमारी कंप्लेंट यहाँ फॉरवर्ड हुई है, उस पर उन्होंने आज हमें वीडियो फिल्म दिखाई है। हमने वीडियो फिल्म में दिखाया है कि आसिम गोयल जो बीजेपी के एमएलए हैं, उनका क्या रोल बूथ की पोलिंग बूथ के अंदर जाके क्या कहां तक उन्होंने वो काम किया है, मैंने उसका पॉइंट आउट किया है। उसके बाद में जेपी का बीच में घुसना वो भी हमने दिखाया है, और कोई ऐसा वीडियो क्लिप नहीं है कि कौन सा पेन था, कौन सा पेन रिप्लेस हुआ, पेन की क्या कंडीशन थी, पेन किसने खरीदा, कैसे पेन आया यहाँ, पेन सील था या नहीं था, जो रिप्लेस्ड पेन था वो किस कंडीशन में आया, कौन रखे गया, ये कहीं वीडियो में नहीं है। तो मैं समझता हूं कि असीम गोयल के आने के बाद में जो वोट्स पड़े हैं वो वोट डुप्लीकेट पेन से पड़े हैं, जो पेन सिमिलर हैं। आरओ साहब ने ये माना है कि मैंने ये पेन सारे एमएलए को और सुभाष चंद्रा जी को दिखाए थे, सबने देखे हैं। मैं समझता हूं कि देखने के बाद वो पेन रिप्लेस हुआ और असीम गोयल के पेन को रिप्लेस किया। उसके बाद के जो वोट हैं वो इनवैलिड हुए हैं और जेपी ने आके पेन को चेंज किया है।
So that is one irregularity that we've just shown you, and there could be a slew of others. So let's get into this debate with our guests. I have with me Vinod Rathore in the studio. He's a spokesperson for the INC. Pankaj Sharma, who's a political analyst, in the studio with me, and Ashwini Dubey, who's a lawyer for the Supreme Court. We have already shown you what Mr. Anand has to say about that little bit of clip that was usually elongated as compared to the other voters. Mr. Dubey, first of all, I want to come to you and talk about a point which probably is not mentioned in that affidavit which was submitted by this particular gentleman, and that affidavit is missing two cases, one which was filed in Hisar and the other one which was filed in Muzaffarpur. Now, if the Election Commission gains cognizance of this particular irregularity, what do you think are going to be the implications?
See, furnishing a false affidavit while filing a declaration, it's an offence, and the person who has furnished a false affidavit can be punished for 6 months. But one has to file an application. I was going through the affidavit furnished by Mr. Chandra. There were 13 cases pending against him, out of which he has mentioned only 11 cases, and his affidavit starts from page number 17 to 21, and where from 17 to 21 he has only mentioned 11 cases, but two important cases under section 420, 384, 504 registered at Muzaffarpur is not mentioned in the affidavit. Subsequent case is 131, 132.
And what are these cases like? What are these cases all about?
420 is cheating, 384 is extortion, then criminal intimidation. These are the important cases. These are very cases. The Indian Penal Code's serious offences have been committed by him, though it is pending before the court, and court has not taken cognizance. Charge sheet has not been filed as per the available whatever data is available on the website. But these are the cases which he must have mentioned in his affidavit, he must have disclosed it, and Election Commission, if take a cognizance of this issue, then the 6 months punishment can be awarded to the person who has furnished a false affidavit as per section 125A of the Representation of People Act.
Okay, Mr. Virendra Rathore, coming to you. Now, first of all, there are a lot of problems with the way the election was conducted. There's been a lot of, hue and cry as to how that pen got changed and how these 12 MLAs from the Congress got disqualified. And then you have this another topic coming up where a couple of FIRs were not mentioned in the all-important affidavit. As per you, what could be the repercussions of this?
I would like to say that this election would be celebrated as the blackest day in the history of Indian democracy. This election has set an example, and the democracy has been badly killed. The way in which the election has been conducted by the ruling BJP government in the state of Haryana. It is very clear Mr. R.K. Anand has also leveled serious allegations that how the pen has been changed. Now, one thing is very clear, that returning officer who was conducting the election had kept the pen where the votes were being polled. Now the allegation has come that Asim Goel had changed the pen, and thereafter all the 13 votes polled by the Congress MLAs were declared as invalid. Two things are very clear, that all the Congress MLAs have voted in favor of R.K. Anand. The Congress House was absolutely united and it was in order. Now, who changed the pen?
Right.
It is a very serious offence. How the pen has been changed and the entire election result has been manipulated and it has been tilted in the favor of Mr. Subhash Chandra is a matter not only of serious concern, but it requires a deep probe.
Okay.
It is a criminal offence, and I personally feel that apart from the remedies which R.K. Anand would be taking, there should be an FIR registered against Subhash Chandra, because he alone is the beneficiary of the entire process.
He has a motive to do it.
Yes, he has a motive to do it. He has given to him a wrongful gain and caused a wrongful loss to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So-
And he's also given wrongful information. Pankaj Sharma, this whole issue was being politicized earlier. You know, there were blame games, there were fissures being reported within the Congress party, but now the tide is turning. There seems to be only one conspirator. What do you make of all this?
See, let me tell you one thing. As a political student for last 35 years and as a political journalist, I have seen for the first time this happening in any Rajya Sabha elections. See, lower house of the parliament is full of all sorts of people because of the compulsions of our electoral politics.
Right.
But if we allow our upper house of the parliament to provide the space for such elements who have vested interest, personal vested interest, more than anything else, then it is a time has come. It's high time when we should really give it a thought. I would agree with Gaur Sahab that you know, in our democratic polity, here is a serious situation. The person in question, you know, the history says, I would appreciate that a school dropout is now has got a doctorate
Right.
from the University
And he
of
flaunts
East
that
London.
title.
Right.
Right.
But normally, you know, these honorary degrees are not used as prefix with your name.
Absolutely.
So now you can see the tendency of a particular person.
You
And
can see
if
the
you have-
character basically of a particular
And
person.
if you have gone through his book, Wrong Man at the Right Time, it is full of instances that how he manipulated the system at every point in time to further his business interests. The book is full of all sorts of
It's
instances.
a self-admission basically.
Yes, and how he opened accounts in tax havens to launch his channel, how he launched his channel, then how he bought a big huge piece of land in Bombay, and when it was difficult to develop the land, he proposed the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra that he would start a park for the children in the name after the name of Jawaharlal Nehru. After the name of Jawaharlal Nehru. And when it was not allowed, but the same Chief Minister, when the things were changed, political scene was changed in Delhi, allowed it, and then he launched that.
So
that
basically
big park.
what you're saying is
By
that
that time the name of Nehru was not necessary.
here
So-
is a
so-
man whose way of life is basically conspiracy, bending the law and basically tweaking the system as per his own whims and fancies and particular needs. Ashwini Dubey, coming back to you. Now the implications that were discussed earlier as to the two cases which have not been disclosed by this particular gentleman, they have another implication. But what about, you know, at the level of legislation, when you are contesting the Rajya Sabha elections, what kind of a legislation do we have which prevents such negative elements from entering the sacred house?
See, first of all, since this issue has been raised by Mr. R.K. Anand, as we were seeing this, see, there is a connivance, prima facie it appears there is a connivance with election commission, the person who was responsible for conducting election and the person who is ultimate beneficiary. It appears. So if a complaint is filed, then election commission is duty bound to investigate it and to and it should reach to the logical conclusion. If FIR is mandatory, FIR should be filed, but not filing and not disclosing the material information, not disclosing the relevant cases pending against a person who is going to contest the election is an offense, and it's a serious offense. A person is going to become the member of the upper house of this country. So it's a serious offense, and for this serious offense, and the responsible authorities, responsible government and the election commission must take an action against the person who has not disclosed the relevant information. It's an offense where a punishment can be awarded for 6 months, and not disclosing offense, not disclosing a particular case is a serious offense, and serious offense should be dealt by in a serious issue, because he is the person who is going to change, who is legislature, who will frame the law. If somebody is sitting in the upper house of the parliament, he is duty bound to disclose all that kind of information. You can expect from an ordinary person, yes, he might have missed it, but a person who is becoming the Rajya Sabha MP not disclosing this information is, I'm sorry, he has to mention it, and it's a serious offense. Extortion is not an easy offense. Extortion is not extorting somebody.
It's a felony.
It's a pending in a court, and it is not mentioned whether he has taken bail, and it was prior to the date when election was held. The election, I have a record, it's a 2015 case. Case number is 888 of 2015. And under section 420, 384, 504, all these cases are serious offences. Mr. Rathore would agree to me.
Mr. Rathore, first of all, there's a very interesting point that Pankaj also raised, that, here is a doctor who is, probably become an expert at doctoring the system, and, is only a matriculate pass, but goes around calling himself a doctor. And then when we talk about the other, topic that we're discussing today, that is the maligning of the upper house, there seems to be a bad precedent being set as to the kind of people who will be entering this sacrosanct house.
Right, Vineet, he is not only a doctor, but he has doctored this election so well that shows that he is quite capable of doctoring things at any level. But I would agree with Ashwini that, let's say, these are two offences. One particular offence is related to election.
Right.
He is contesting a Rajya Sabha election. He is accused of flouting election rules in Vidhan Sabha elections in state of Haryana, and he is not disclosing this FIR intentionally in his nomination paper. Particularly he should have, because he is now a candidate himself and is contesting a Rajya Sabha election, and the offence pertains to flouting of election rules. So concealing this fact itself would cast a shadow of reasonable doubt on his credibility, that he has no faith in the system, and he can go to any extent to damage the constitution of this country. Second FIR is FIR of cheating and extortion. These are offences of gravest criminal nature.
Right.
And he was duty bound to disclose those offences in the nomination paper. By withholding...
And that too, he tried to shortchange the system by not disclosing a couple of them.
Yes. This shows, apart from what would be the repercussions of not disclosing these offences, this shows that he is a man of such a conduct that he is in a habit of manipulating things, and he can manage things at any level. And it is very serious for the democracy of this country. It was a Rajya Sabha election. Mandate of the electors, voters, was in favor of R.K. Anand. And I still remember, if we need, I don't know you remember or not, immediately after the result, I just remember two lines which he said on the news channel while giving an interview. Two things he said. That I told 2 days before the result that I will get more votes than Virender Singh. This is a very serious matter.
So he was very confident of his
He was
deception.
very confident. He was very confident. Second thing, in the last, I was watching his interview very closely. The last line he concluded his press conference was, Subhash Chandra knows कि हारी हुई बाजी को कैसे जीता जाता है. It was a simple election.
So he was
of
gloating,
90
he was
votes.
being arrogant about his deception.
He was knowing that numbers are not in his favor. He knew that he could only win if he could manage to invalidate those 13 votes. And this actually he did.
And hence he did, and he succeeded in tweaking the system and maligning it to his personal gain. On this particular topic, there are other few experts who've said a few things. Let's have a listen into that now.
दिखाने का मतलब आप खुद डिस्क्लोज कर रहे हैं कि आप जिस निर्णय पे पहुंचना चाहते हैं, जिसका आधार है नेचुरली जिसको फुटेज दिखाया जाएगा वो आरोपी उस फुटेज को तुरंत वहां डिस्प्यूट करेगा। इलेक्शन कमीशन को मेरे दृष्टिकोण से ये करना चाहिए था कि फुटेज की जांच कर एक निष्कर्ष पर पहुंचकर और ऑर्डर पास करना चाहिए। इसमें दो ही तो प्रश्न आते हैं। पहला प्रश्न, क्या इंक बदली गई थी राज्यसभा के चुनाव में जो हरियाणा असेंबली में हुआ, और दूसरा, यदि इंक बदली गई तो कौन लोग उसके पीछे थे जिन्होंने ये इंक बदल के, या जिसको फ़ायदा या जिसको इससे का लाभ या नुकसान हो सकता है। इसमें आरोपी का प्रेजेंट रहना और आरोपी से कोई पूछताछ करके निर्णय पर पहुंचना, ये तो बड़ी एक आश्चर्यजनक बात है।
देखिए, जो इनिशियल स्टेज होती है, जब कंप्लेंट फाइल की गई है इलेक्शन कमीशन के आगे, तो उसने जब रिपोर्ट मंगवाई है रिटर्निंग अफसर से, रिपोर्ट के बाद उसको खुद इंक्वायरी करनी है। उस स्टेज पे जो डिफेंस का वर्जन होता है वो रेलिवेंट नहीं होता, इसलिए कोई भी ऐसा मटेरियल जो डिफेंस वर्जन के लिए रेलिवेंट होता है या जिसको उसको अपने डिफेंस के लिए यूज़ कर सकता है, उस स्टेज पे उसको प्रोवाइड करना मेरे हिसाब से वाजिब नहीं।
So right as everybody says it, that we are smelling a rat, and we'll discuss about this particular topic right after this very short break. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to our show. We're discussing Subhash Chandra and the way he's been manipulating and tweaking the system to gain ground, and of course now a public office, and that too a public office such as respectable public office as the Rajya Sabha. Virendra, coming to you, an FIR seems to be the need of the hour, and an FIR that should be registered by the BJP government in order to quickly come to some sort of a remedy for this case and save little face that they have.
Vineet, I think BJP government should act in a more responsible manner, because it was their duty to get that election conducted. They are in power in state of Haryana. Grievance of my MLAs is that they voted in favor of RK Anand and their votes have been declared invalid.
Right.
Now, how this all manipulation has been done, it is a matter of investigation, and it can't happen until and unless an FIR is registered and the matter is thoroughly probed to the root of the matter. Root of the matter has to be gone into, and that can only be done if BJP government comes forward and voluntarily gets a case registered on the complaint which RK Anand has filed and get the matter investigated. And I think they should not have any problem in that. If some election officer is involved, or some any other person is involved who has manipulated this entire election process and forced, I would say, the voters to vote against their will, then of course it's a matter of serious concern, and BJP should immediately get this FIR registered. Otherwise, remedies are open to Mr. RK Anand. He can go to the court and he can get an order for registration of FIR. Then it would be difficult for the BJP government to save their face.
All right, Pankaj, initially, there was a lot of politicization of this topic, but the BJP so far has been, keeping quiet. They've really not shown too much temper. They have not responded or reacted in a very fiery manner. Do you think that's going to hamper their image in the long run?
Naturally, BJP was involved. See, this is not a question of A, B and C. What happened in Haryana is not an isolated case. What BJP was doing in Uttar Pradesh by filing that lady from Bombay,
right?
What it was doing in Jharkhand. So, there is a systematic attack to denigrate the democracy of this country by supporting, by promoting such people to enter the upper house of the parliament. I can understand, though that should also not be allowed. If you try to play some kind of Sam Dam Dand Bhed in the electoral politics in Lok Sabha or in assemblies, that should also not be there. But Rajya Sabha has been created entirely for a different purpose.
Right.
And if you are making the mockery of Rajya Sabha, the upper house of the parliament, this is something which should not be allowed at all. And BJP BJP was promoting these tendencies openly in this election. That is the main worry. It should be our main worry.
Okay, Ashwini, you also mentioned, in your conversation that the, case of Lily Thomas, somewhat overlaps the particular case at hand. If we draw a comparison, how do you see this playing out vis-a-vis Lily Thomas?
See, Supreme Court has already held Section 8(4) of Representation of People Act as unconstitutional, meaning thereby if a person is convicted for more than 2 years, then he shall lose his membership either of the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, or from the Legislative Assembly or any municipality elected body. So, suppose all these cases, most of the cases are the cases in which maximum punishment is more than 2 years, and if he reaches for the logical conclusion, trial is leaded, then as Lalu Yadav has to resign, or he ceases to hold the office, or the Rashid Mashood's case, and here there are 13 cases pending against him, not cases. In most of the cases, maximum punishment is more than 2 years. So what should be the investigating agencies must take into account that these cases should reach to the logical conclusion, trial should be held as soon as possible, and judgment should be pronounced. So, and Lily Thomas, what was the purpose of pronouncing their judgment by the Supreme Court by Honorable Justice A.K. Patnaik and Justice S. Mukhopadhyay? To bring fair, transparent and quality citizens of this country in the upper house, lower house, and in other electoral processes.
Role models.
Heroes. So that they may work for the country. So they may work for the 125 crore citizens of this country. And if a criminal background, a person who is having criminal background is elected or appointed or nominated, it's a contrary to the Constitution, contrary to the Supreme Court judgment also, and what was the intention of honorable judges in Lily Thomas case.
Okay, Virendra, just, he's made a valid point, that the entry barriers probably for, people who've had a criminal past should definitely be looked into, and legislation regarding the same has to be appended. How do you respond to that?
Of course, I think he's absolutely correct. Now time has come. I think the Election Commission also, after this election, would certainly think of framing rules and guidelines so that entry of such kind of elements can't be made to August House like Rajya Sabha. And of course, the intention of the Honorable Supreme Court in Lily Thomas case was absolutely clear, that even the Supreme Court in that verdict intended that people with fair reputation, who can be role models for the coming generations, should go and enter the house and play an active role in framing the laws for this country. But here is a case where a person who openly has been flouting the legal system of this country, who has no respect for law of the land, and who is in the habit of manipulating things in any manner, has manipulated the entire election, and he would be sitting in the upper house. I think it would be, I am sorry to say, this would be the blackest day for the Indian democracy.
Okay, Pankaj, coming to you, you've read his book, Wrong Man at the Right Time. Do you think the way he's garnered the resources and very cleverly the way he's utilized the same resources through which he's made a lot of money is actually helping him, from escaping any kind of judgment or punishment?
Yeah, I see. Actually, I would advise all of you and everybody to read his book. His book is, full of such instances from the day one, how he got government tenders, then what did he do in rice export to Soviet Union, Russian Federation those days, how he launched his channel. There is an instance in which he says that a huge part of the money for launching the channel came from where I don't know till today. That is what he has said in his own book. So here is a person who has been manipulating the system for last more than 4 decades.
Isn't that implicating yourself, Ashwini? If you say a thing like that, that even I don't have an idea where the money came from.
No, it's a
Isn't
complete-
that self-implication?
Yeah, of course, it's a self-implication. And what Mr. Rathore has said, that a person was called to see video, means the person accused is allowed to watch what is the evidences against him. माने आप ही मुजरिम है और आप ही को हम कह देते हैं कि आप ही उसको punishment तय करो. माने see, this is there is a connivance. Prima facie it appears there is a connivance, and what we expect from the government, what we expect from the local authority, that this matter should be inquired, so that what is the picture should come in the public domain, and we must come to know what is the outcome of it, because we can't expect that somebody is sitting in the upper house is tented. See, there are allegations, there are several persons, number of persons against whom criminal cases are, but it's not a case where political rivalry is involved. Had it been the case that yes, it's a political system, he has raised some wise slogan or demonstrated somewhere, then the case is registered. It's an extortion case. An extortion case must be looked into. And in extortion case, what is the outcome must become in the public domain, and we expect from the trial agencies, we expect from the investigating agencies that as soon as possible they file a charge sheet and they lead the trial, so that the judgment can be pronounced. We come to know whether he was involved or not involved.
Absolutely, and the entry point for a lot of these tainted elements should have some sort of a regulation, and new legislation is also of the order, so that the august house of Rajya Sabha does maintain its purity. On this note, I'd like to thank all my guests for joining us. Vinod, Pankaj and Ashwini, thank you for being with us in the studio and sharing your thoughts. That's all we have on current issues. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.